This video is about when Mary and I went to see the Auburn Duesenberg Museum a few days ago. But before I get into the museum, I want to tell you a little bit about my relationship with photography. It was the early 70s and I was in high school. I bought a camera at a pawn shop. I set up a darkroom in my parents' basement. This was one of the first pictures I ever developed of my nephew Seth when he was young. I got really hooked on photography, and while I couldn't be bothered to do any of my studies in high school, I studied every book in the public library about photography and tried to use all the things that I learned. One lucky break was, even though I was not in the journalism class, the teacher gave me a key to the school's darkroom, and I used hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of their materials and experimented with all the things I was trying to learn in photography. Sometimes through careful planning and a lot of hard work, I would be in complete control all the way through the process. Here's a situation that with lots of planning and communication with the pilot and getting permission to climb on top of this huge circus tent, I still had absolutely no control over the subject matter, and I had to hope for the best as I pushed the button, trying to capture the perfect split second. And that with the noise of a turboprop airplane zooming right by my ear. So what I wanted to say about my relationship with photography is that I've learned that my best pictures are a combination of skill and luck. When I look at the pictures I'm the most proud of, I can remember the things I did on purpose, but there's almost always an element of luck that it just came out better than I deserve. This picture from years ago on our trip to the museum is a great example of that. When you're inside the showroom, the lettering on the window is backwards, but when you see its reflection in the car, it's right way round again. It was lucky for me that that just worked itself out, and my skill was in the composition of framing the photo. Whether you're looking for photo opportunities or you just want to see some amazing automobiles, I highly recommend the Auburn Duesenberg Museum in Auburn, Indiana. And it's not just the cars that are so beautiful, but the building itself is something to see. The main room in the museum was the showroom for the Auburns when they were new back in the early 20th century. The floors, the ceilings, the lighting fixtures, even the stair rails are just really something to see. I needed to use one of the antique fixtures in this room. I thought there should be a little plaque that said Al Capone peed here. They showed how they designed the bodies by carving them out of clay. And not only did they have an old typewriter, they had a video that showed young folks how to use one. It's fun to look at the craftsmanship and to look at all the levers and knobs and try to figure out what they did. I like this shot, but it was spoiled by my reflection, so I took it home and did magic. When I was thinking about which car I'd like to have to drive around in, I think I settled on this one. It's just a two-seater, although it's pretty big and probably costs twice as much as my house. I like this one too, but I think it's because of how much I like dreamsicles. Did you know a car's trunk used to actually be a trunk? They sure know how to build a display that brings out the beauty of these glorious, huge, rolling pieces of sculpture. Right next door is the National Auto and Truck Museum. You'll probably want to buy a ticket for both like we did. It's a very different feel from the elegance of the Auburn Duesenberg Museum, but it's spectacular in its own right with very interesting cars and beautiful old trucks. When I saw these pedal cars, I turned 5 years old again for a second, and I disliked the kids who might have gotten one for Christmas. There was a guy that sold instructions on how to build your own airplane out of a Model A Ford engine. Mary's behind the wheel of an old Dodge. There's a whole section dedicated to a huge collection of model and toy cars and trucks. We got a surprise treat when a museum guide led us inside the cab of the amazing GM Futureliner, a vehicle I had never heard of before. So much beautiful craftsmanship, so many interesting machines, so many windows into history. You'll want to visit Auburn, Indiana right away.